So, we got some insider news, maybe some secret news. Not so secret, it's been posted on Twitter. So, anyone who is looking on Twitter will actually find this information. I can't vouch for this information because it's not official. It's like a phone conversation between two people. I can't say this guy's not making it up because we know that influencers do make stuff up. But I think the analysis goes with my own and has a strong possibility of actually being true. So, this would be like some inside info. And I'm going to share with you guys. Crypto Zombie, verified account on Twitter. Verification doesn't actually mean anything. It just means you paid Twitter. So take that for what it is. But he actually says, just got off the phone with someone who I respect and trust who has been in the traditional banking industry for years, but pivoted to full crypto a few years back as they realized the corruptness of the old system. This person runs a very successful OTC desk that's basically like trading over the counter. That's what an OTC desk is, trading large amounts at set prices, usually a little bit below the current Bitcoin price. We were discussing Bitcoin and the recent sell-off after the ETF launch. I explained that based on previous cycles and technical analysis that we have been looking at for years, it would suggest no new all-time highs before the halving and possible chop until late early Q4 before the God candle. However, this guy on the inside of the BTC ETFs says very differently. Now, keep in mind, I'm probably one of the biggest BTC bulls you'll ever meet, but of course, short term, I want to stay as level-headed as possible and not get overly bullish or bearish. This person explained, obviously he wants to protect this person's identity, that you can't move forward by looking into a rearview mirror, and demand for BTC has in fact been increasing ever since the launch. So basically this guy on the inside has said you got to throw like a lot of the TA stuff and the previous cycle stuff out the window. But even if you go with the previous cycle stuff, we're getting extremely close to the halving, just a few months off. So, if this does actually happen according to the halving, it's going to happen within a couple of months anyways. So I don't think you're going to lose out by buying just a little bit early. So they went on to explain that the only thing holding us down right now is the GBTC and FTX selling, and that we are basically entered a new paradigm. So I've actually agreed with this. Like, I've been reporting on this for the last few days, not this particular story because I didn't know about it until like 2 minutes ago, but like the GBTC and FTX selling, that's the only downward pressure. Remember, $1 billion over the course of a couple of days is definitely going to hurt. And that is basically the entire outflow, like extra outflow, plus some that GBTC has over the Fidelity and BlackRock inflows. Without the FTX selling, we'd actually be positive still. Because remember, people that are selling GBTC for BlackRock and Fidelity, they're just trading one for the other, but there's actual initial inflows from other institutions as well. He said, like this guy on this side, to forget everything you know about the 4-year cycle and how the BTC has behaved in the past. Now, I wouldn't go take it quite that far. I think the 4-year cycle still has a lot of relevance, and I think it'll only help push Bitcoin even higher. Once the initial selling is over, a gradual climb to a new all-time high is imminent. Now, notice he actually says gradual. It might actually take until after April for all-time highs. But, within a couple of weeks, the initial selling should be over and the gradual climb should actually be starting. So I've been saying this for the last couple of weeks. I was hoping that the GBTC sales and the BlackRock and Fidelity stuff would cancel each other out and we wouldn't go down. But obviously, I wasn't really depending on the FTX sales. Once again, there is the albatross of the Mt. Gox stuff, but that's always been kind of iffy and sketchy, and we don't really know what kind of impact that will actually have. So I won't share their price prediction for the end of the year, but I'm going to guess this guy on the inside predicted an all-time high. But let's just say it's much higher than even I anticipated. So probably way above 100,000. So the time to get in is actually now. They explained that the previous TA that was worked on BTC will become irrelevant as it fundamentally shifts into a whole new market beast. I don't think so, because I think the constant selling pressure for miners will still actually be there. But they'll have less to sell because there's less BTC to sell. Could it possibly be that Bitcoin will shatter even the most bullish of bull expectations at a much faster pace than ever before? No, I still think we're going to top at about 150,000, but I could be wrong. I hope I am wrong, and it pivots to the bullish side. This person has no reason to lie to me or persuade me in any direction, as our relationship is unaffected by whether price goes up or down. Of course, this is the observation of one individual and doesn't reflect anything outside. I mean, Kathy Wood has also been super super bullish about Bitcoin, but obviously she has a very incentivized reason to be super bullish. Now, I don't think it's going to go to 500,000 or $1 million or anything. I'm still looking at 150K, possibly 200 if the Qatar thing comes in. And I do think there's going to be a gradual like buying of Bitcoin, but I also think we'll still follow the cycle somewhat. But that being said, the cycle is going to peak like late this year or early next year. So either way, it's going to be really good, and we just need to make it past this kind of like lump phase. And I think this phase will only really stay like around this area, maybe for like, let's say like a couple more weeks, maybe 2 more weeks or so after the initial sales. And, I would expect an increase of maybe an average of maybe like 1,000 points every couple of days, 1,000 points every week or so, rather than just some kind of God candle up. So you got time to DCA in, but if you're not DCAing in now, I think you're really, really missing out. As for like where you buy in, 36K, 38K, especially for Bitcoin, I think it's actually kind of irrelevant. I highly doubt we're going to 30K or anywhere downward. So I don't think there's like a significant I don't think there's a significant gain really from waiting out that much longer. Altcoins might be a little different. And remember, altcoins don't have the ETF, but altcoins usually go up with Bitcoin. So like if you want to wait a week or two for altcoins, that's fine, but you do like you do risk like missing out on everything. So this guy is essentially saying, take all your news, your cycle, your charts, throw them out the window, because this is kind of like a new paradigm that we're actually facing. And Bitcoin will go way, way up. Now, I've heard this from other analysts before, and the thing is, like, I don't share their super bullish expectations for the top. I think, like without the ETF, maybe like 100,000 at the top. With the ETF, 150, maybe 175, something like that. And, like these guys are looking at the actual inflows. And yes, there's going to be way more inflow this time than last time because of the organizations and the institutions. But remember, it also takes more money to push Bitcoin up the higher you actually go. So with this ETF coming in, especially with Bitcoin and Ethereum ETFs coming in, like these two are definitely going to rise up. I still think the alts are probably going to beat Bitcoin in terms of performance. And, there's going to be like alt large cap funds, alt small cap funds and stuff like that are coming in. But we won't really get those funds until at least 2025. And for other like altcoins, maybe even 2026 and later. Because generally the kind of process is like you get some kind of legal victory, and then you have a futures ETF for a coin, and then a spot ETF for a coin. The process for that is roughly a year and a half. So we're looking at like 2025, I think at the earliest, late 2025 at the earliest for another non-Bitcoin, non-Ethereum ETF, and then like probably 2026 and later. So there is an argument for putting more of your bets on Bitcoin and Ethereum in this upcoming run because of the ETFs. And we are definitely just kind of waiting for the sell-off to actually complete. The problem is we don't really know when the sell-off will complete. Grayscale has hundreds of thousands of Bitcoin, and like they can dump for quite a while. Although, like I said, their outflows have been getting less and less day by day. Based on the projections, by the end of next week, they should basically be done. But of course, Grayscale is extremely stubborn. They won't lower their fees, and they're basically playing the long-term draw-out game. And I'm not really sure if that's going to win against BlackRock and Fidelity, but I think it's kind of irrelevant, honestly. I think if push comes to shove and they're losing like all their business, they will lower those fees. And without the FTX sellout, people aren't actually liquidating. They're just trading one for the other. So I think the effect on the market will be like very contained. You can see as Grayscale has like outflowed less and less, you can definitely see like Bitcoin price has actually dumped less and less. We're around 40K and we did go down to 38.5, but we are basically where we were at the beginning of the week. And, barring any large volumes, I do actually expect us to move a little bit up this weekend and into next week. Remember, we still have like 2 more days. We still definitely have 2 more days of reporting these numbers. And I'll see like what Balchunas and others actually report basically tomorrow morning and Friday morning to see like how the outflows go. And as long as the outflows are actually coming down, as the other person said, like the demand for Bitcoin has been going up overall on the market. And these guys are like the ones that are actually buying and selling at these desks. So they would actually know. because I think there's going to be still consistent buys at the other Bitcoin funds, but there's not going to be consistent sales out of Grayscale forever. But based on the amount they have, it could go on for another week or two. So if you want to wait a week, that's fine. I personally wouldn't. I would dollar cost average in right now because I don't think we're going much lower than we are right now, unless they like dump a huge amount at once. Unless there's like another FTX out there that I don't know about. But right now, like, they're basically saying that's the only reason we're going down. And that's kind of like a one-shot thing. And I kind of suspected that too, because looking at the outflows and inflows, without the FTX liquidation, there would actually be more inflows than outflows. And that actually does make a lot of sense. There's also a buy the rumor, sell the news sentiment. But it's been about 2 weeks since the ETF, so that should have actually worn off right about now. So I think we're like on the cusp of turning around. I don't think this drawback is going to be nearly as low or nearly as long as people think. And I think like a lot of the trading desks are actually preparing for that increase in demand. There's also miners selling off, but there's always been miners selling off. So I'm not really too afraid of that. But yeah, that's like a little bit of a leak of like maybe private information. He didn't mention the guy's name. He didn't mention his actual prediction, but it was really, really high. My prediction obviously is not that high. I think he's saying like 3, 4, 500,000. I just don't think we're getting there. I mean, I hope I'm wrong and we do get there, but I just don't think we're getting there. But like 150, I think is a pretty solid bet. And we're going to start going there, I think, a lot sooner than the halving. I think the halving will catalyze it even more, but I think we're going to go there. I think we're like going to start going there before the halving. So that's the news for today. Let me know what you think. Like and subscribe, hit that bell notifications button. Thank you and have a nice day.